Well, we took a little break here at Hiptique, and people are buying clothes in between the sessions. We're here talking about love. This is Renée Piane, author of Get Real About Love, and most people are either in a shakeup, a breakup, or a wake-up call. Most people that come to me are going through divorce and reinventing themselves sexually, spiritually. They're reinventing their living environment normally. And when people go through breakups, it's really, really hard, because if you talk to your friends, sometimes they really can't give you the honest advice that they wish they could, because they see your bullshit in the background. They know your story of the same guy or the same girl over and over. So sometimes friends really want you to get real about love. That's why I called this Get Real About Love, because all of us need to get real. We all need to get real about something. So if you've dated somebody while we were on break, people were asking me a lot of questions, and we're going to talk about some of those. But when you're going through breakups or heartbreak, your heart is half open, half shut down, or maybe, I don't know, what's the percentage of your heart right now, right? Is it 50-50?
I'd say 75-25 not open.
75 not open over here, 25 open?
I'd say I'm 80 open.
80 open,
But
20.
Just a little bit ago, I was 80 closed.
Okay, and you girls over here, what, said you were 50-50, right? Okay.
Yes.
So these girls over here, now the thing is, when you're 50-50 or 75-25, and you're in either you're in a relationship, or you're with somebody, or you're not really feeling something is right, it's because you've been in that 75%. So if that 75% doubts that love's going to last, then you're probably with somebody that it won't last with. So you mentioned earlier that there was a lie in place somewhere. Can you come over here and talk about it?
Yeah, you're in the hot
All right,
seat.
she's in the hot
I
seat.
know.
She's in the Love Designer Get Real About Love hot seat. So let's get real about what's going on. What's going on?
Well, I was dating him for about 2.5 years, and shortly after, maybe about the first year, I noticed that there were like half-truths every so often, and then he really got into lying about where he was, who he was with, and I never caught him cheating on me red-handed, but I automatically jumped to conclusions just because he was lying.
So what is one of the examples of a lie? Because people do sometimes fib, which is not really good in relationships. My whole philosophy is about being honest, being realistic about the phase you're in, whether you want to date multiple people or you are an open person. People are designing relationships of all kinds. There's people in LA, we live here in Los Angeles, and there's people that have multiple partners. I met a guy the other day who said, I'd like to find a woman that likes women and that we could share other women. And I was like, wow, that's going to be, woohoo, good for you.
Yes,
but he is saying who he is. So if you're there listening, you need to be honest. So if you caught him lying, what did you do?
Well, I asked him to explain where he was and what he was doing, and he told me one thing, and he said that he was golfing with his friends, and I noticed that there was no sound in the background, and I asked him if he could take a picture for me. That's how bad our relationship had gotten. The pictures, I know, they're bad.
So no pictures? He never we can't do that. The guys, what happened?
No,
what did he say? The
He
old
said-
bullshit picture thing.
He said, actually, we're just leaving, and I called him, and there was no sound, and I was like, what's going on? Like, why?
Why is there no other men there?
Yeah, right. And, he just didn't have an explanation. I just flipped out on him, and I was screaming and yelling, and then he tried to turn it around on me, like, you're so crazy. Why do you have to go off on me? I didn't even do anything wrong. But it's like, clearly he was lying.
Well, the thing is, once a liar, normally always a liar. And if you do pick up a copy of this, this is basically my story of 28 years of being in the love business and listening to people in this situation over and over and over in all my coaching and in all the television that I've done and all the events that I've had. Now, your situation, when your gut tells you that something's wrong, then instead of flipping out, what I would do is stand in your power and say, listen, I know you're lying because the story sounds like bullshit. So when you're ready to come clean, call me instead of freaking out.
I like that.
And then he'll be like, what? And then he's going to think about it, and then he may or may not come clean.
Probably not.
But if you keep letting him do it, and then you yell at him and he doesn't change his behavior at all,
Right.
he is a liar, and he's always going to be. And there is a story in my book that is probably, when women or people read it, they're like, that Mario story is hellacious. Because I dated him for 3 years. There was gut feelings all along because he was from Philadelphia and I was originally from there, and he was going back and forth, back east. Look at the percentages of that, you know. But there are amazing men, and I met one who was going through a divorce. He had a son, and he lived on the East Coast, 3,000 miles away. Okay? Now, I had finally done all of this work, which I've spent thousands of dollars to learn to teach, and I've been teaching it now for many years. I made a choice that I was ready to be a wife, not just a girlfriend, and that I was going to look for men that were looking for love. And when I met my husband, he was in the midst of a divorce. But many men and women, like this young lady here, people that are going through divorce sometimes, even though they've been married, when they're going through a process of a divorce, whether they're the one that leaves or the one that is left, they have to look at the opportunity like, if this person doesn't want to be with me, then I'm going to find somebody that does, because I'm a good person, you know. But my husband never wanted to get married again, and I wanted to get married. So we met, and when I met him, I realized most women would say, I don't want to get involved because he's not open to love. But so I touched him and I said, so what was it about your life with this woman that made you not want to be married? And he said, she never appreciated me, she never, all these different things that he told me. And I put all of those things in my mind. And I said, so if you could have love, what would it be like for you? The questions that you ask people about their family, about their values in the beginning, right when you are on the first date, in a non-judgmental way. It's like, I want to hear about your family. Where are you from? And he's like, well, my mom and dad, you know, divorced when I was 4, and I was with my mom for years while she was single. Is she married now? Well, no. You know, it's kind of like she relies on me. Like, find out about how he was raised and see if, so you say, wow, so your role modeling is of a single mom. And a lot of times those guys make the best husbands because they have been around a woman and they're very sensitive to women. But a lot of women would say, oh, I don't want to be with somebody like that. So I'm like, don't rule out special men like my husband. So I said to him, so, because I'm a dating coach, you're probably right in the middle of dating a bunch of women. How many women are you with right now? And he said, he looked down. He said 3. And I said, wow. And he goes, because I don't really like being single. Then he started to open up. And I said, well, that's cool. That's what you should be doing. You should be dating. And he was looking at me because we had an attraction from 20 years before. We re-met. It's in the book. We re-met again. My mother died. I was doing rapid dating and television all over the country and didn't have time. And I always was like, had men that wanted to hang out with me, and I would push them away because I was busy. But really, a lot of it had to do with that I needed someone to be aligned with what I was doing. So once I got clear, and that's what this book is all about, is looking at the phases that people are in, looking at the vibes that you're sending out at this time in your life, and looking at where the thoughts that created the guard or the wall or the I'm here, I'm ready, right? So every person that is dating in this world, I don't care where they are, they're in a phase. They're in a love phase. So if you meet somebody, you could meet somebody and you're in the ready phase and they're in the divorce phase, or they're timing is everything. It's all about timing, but it's all about listening. Because if you meet a man that's in a funky phase like I did, I thought to myself, I'm not going to be one of 4 women. So I said and proclaimed, I did not push him. I said, it's a shame that you don't want to get married again, as I was petting him like this. And I said, because if I was with you, I would spoil you. And then I went like this. I touched him. And then he's going like this. And I said, and I don't like to share, so you should go and do your thing with these girls. And I live in California anyway. And he goes, well, I work in California and I'm coming there. I was in Delaware. And he goes, I'm coming there next week. Would you like to go on a date? And I said, oh, when are you going to squeeze me in between all the other ones, you know? And he goes, well, one of them's in London. He started telling me all this information. So I got all the download of all this information without interrogating him. I was just being very cool. And then he said, well, I'm going to take you out to dinner. And I said, yeah. And he said, I'll stay in a hotel. So he stayed at the Lowe's Hotel right down the street. I used to do rapid dating events there. And I was on television on NBC the next week. So I said, well, I want to show you my life. I have a crazy life. I teach men, I take people shopping. So he came into town and I took him on television. It was really fun. We had a great time.
That sounds awesome.
But what I'm saying is I was so happy with what I was doing, and I had other men pursuing. So he said, well, are you dating anybody? And I said, yeah, I got a couple guys, chasing me. So I didn't ask him for anything. I didn't do anything. I just told him what I said, I'm looking for a long-term relationship. You're in the middle of the dating pool, and you can go do whatever you want, but you can't have me. You can't have me. When you have a guy like your guy, it sounds like you opened up so quick and you were all there and you dumped your whole life into him.
I did.
Women tend to do that when we have a little girl part of us that gets in the relationship. Does that make sense?